Rich, I'm really happy to have you here in our Kai interview. Welcome.
Thank you. No, I'm very happy to be here.
And let's start with, tell us a bit about yourself.
Okay, I started coaching, life coaching, 2009 or 2010 is when I went away. I was previously in the fitness industry. And I kind of noticed from the fitness industry that I was in it for a long time, and people would up and down and get results and not get results and things like that. And but the longer I went on in the fitness industry, the more it kind of became. I'd always been interested in the state of the mind and that process, and it became more and more apparent to me that the real thing that was holding people back was their mindset, their limitations, that was going on more with what they'd grown inside their thought and their thought patterns, as opposed to to take hold of the steering wheel and keep hold of it and change their physicality. That whenever they let go of it, or when something took over in their mind, that they would go back. So I became more interested in changing first in that area, until I went away and went into a life coaching qualification, and then I realized that when I did that actually opened a whole area for me, that I realized that for my own personal integrity, for my own self, wasn't ready to deliver on coaching the way that I personally wanted to deliver. So that triggered me going into my own journey for quite a long time. Actually, I kind of ticked over doing life coaching sort of part-time, but it triggered me going into my own journey, like deep diving on myself, finding what I was about, unearthing my own stuff, going out, getting coached for myself, getting some more qualification, doing my own learning, doing my own study, my own understanding of myself, going through my own barriers, my own limiting beliefs, creating my own new behavior and procedures, and that was quite a journey, actually, and through the twists and turns, as it always is with this process, and the kind of uncomfortableness and going through that, I let myself just go along until it came to me the next time that I was ready to go back and deliver on showing up the way I personally wanted to show up in my business and for other people. And then that happened at the bottom of a kind of like an emotional upheaval. Through having been through the coaching process and things like that, I was, knew that in the bottom of a kind of an emotional upheaval, my question to myself was, what's the message here? And then the message to me was, okay, it's time to go back and you're ready to deliver on how you want to deliver.
So Rich, it's really interesting. So you went on a journey. It sounds like quite a journey, and you went through many significant things. But can you a bit elaborate on the practical side? Okay, there are many people that say we feel that we need a change. We need to go through our own layers, through all kinds of stuff. But how you actually do it in the day-to-day, in the most practical way?
When I'm working with somebody.
Let's start with you. How did you do it for yourself?
So for me, it was just changing daily habits, changing daily practice to begin with, not going massively into taking big chunks at a time, but just taking small chunks at a time and changing little things. And it's that recognizing the very, very first part for me was the recognizing, talking to somebody and having the awareness of what I was doing, what my habits, what was driving me, my subconscious programming, what was creating my limitations in my mind, where first of all going through the awareness and saying, right, where am I? What do I think about myself? What do I think I can achieve? What do I think about, any area of my life? And then looking at that area and working on just moving forward and moving into it, because, I kind of realized that we like to go around if we can, but really, the way is through. And so on a daily basis, this is moving towards that.
So you mentioned changing many small things, sometimes changing small things can make a big difference. Can you give an example of something small that you changed and was significant for you?
One of the biggest things was I started off and I made, because I had a massive barrier about, what you would call, like, I don't like to coin it so much because it drives people away sometimes. But if you want to call it mindfulness, or you want to call it meditation, or you want to call it something that just takes you on a daily into a daily place of where you're just being quiet for a few minutes. And I don't like to term that because I think some people get alienated by those terms. I know it's very popular these days, but I found that they can be exclusive to some people. So it was taken into a space where, even if just this is important to me, for this to happen in the morning, even if it was for 2 minutes or 3 minutes, is just to go into a space where you're just setting yourself for the day. So that was a big change for me. So you're not just blindly getting up in the morning, doing everything on subconscious. So if you're doing the same thing and expecting a different result. So it was like just doing everything in subconscious. So just making that, disconnecting that existing daily routine, just even for a few minutes, to create a different thought pattern, a different expectation on the day, and being aware that there's an unknownness out there that you can be aware of, if you like.
Okay, that sound powerful. Like a few minutes in the morning to quiet down and to find your own awareness can affect your whole day. That's what you experienced.
Yeah, what I experienced, and even if it's, again, I say a few minutes because I played around with this a lot, and I started with an hour, and it was just so painful for me because I'm not a morning person. It was just a complete ball ache in the morning for me to be like, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to meditate, and then I'm going to, I don't know, mindfully make myself a coffee, then I'm going to journal, then I'm going to do exercise and all these kind of things. And I was like, do you know what? That doesn't work for me. And if that has to be the thing, then I'm not going to succeed. So for me, it was about having to break down into really small, what functions, what works. I mean, yeah, I wish I could, get up in the morning and have an hour in the morning to do all of these things. And I don't even have any kids, right? So, it's where other people have got, all of that learning and all of my own journey was about, I'm learning this for me, and I'm understanding life for when I want to deliver for other people. And you can read a book or whatever that tells you do all these 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 things in the morning and your life is going to be fantastic. But it's got to work for you. It's got to work practically within your life.
So that's really helpful, because I think there's so many people in books that say exactly that, and for so many people it just doesn't work. It's too difficult, it's too early, it's too many things. So what if you need to give a schedule, a daily schedule that you think is soft enough for many people and they could work for all of those that these meditate, journal, do intermediate fasting, wake up 3 hours earlier, and it doesn't work for many people. So what kind of schedule can you offer?
What I would say is that it's even if, like most people in the morning is important. So even if it means that we get very focused on doing something, and there's an element of not doing something. So you can either make a list of, if you're into lists, and I'm personally not, so that's one thing that doesn't work for me because I just see that as that's an obligation, I don't want to do that. So there's a few things of okay, these are a list or a reminder or whatever things I can do, but also there's a softer entrance to it. Is list of things I'm not going to do. For example, you might say, I will do, even if I've only got time in the morning, to mindfully or think to myself quietly while I'm maybe brushing my teeth, even while I'm in the shower, then I'm not doing this, I'm not just subconsciously showering. Even if it means I'm doing it while I'm sitting on the toilet, then there's a time that you can bring to yourself even if it's 2 or 3 minutes where you can actually quieten your mind. If you can do it before you get up, brilliant. If you can do more, brilliant. Journaling works for a lot of people if you can. Again, journaling is just not my thing, but I know it's massive for a lot of people. But if that means writing notes on a phone when you're commuting, possibly, then that's an option. But there's also, so I would say, like the mindfulness of not subconsciously just starting your day the same way. Really, really important. If you can do one thing, is just bring some awareness to yourself in the morning. And one thing that you don't do is on the don't list is do everything just by rote and by habit, but absolutely don't pick up your phone the first thing in the morning and start allowing the outside world to come into your world.
Okay, so what you say, find a way to stop the automation in the morning in some way, doesn't matter how, but if you find a way to stop the automation for a few minutes and just be aware, and on the other hand, leave the phone aside as much as you can to clear space for whatever is important.
Because there's something, if you go and it's all just breaking down an old pattern and an old habit and then creating a new one. So you just create space. I'd say, somebody might say to me, somebody said to me, I just don't have another spare 2 minutes in the morning. Did you spend 2 minutes on Facebook or Twitter or whatever it is, is your email or whatever? Did you spend 2 minutes doing that in the morning? Well, if you do, there's space for that. Of just breaking the cycle of, if you do that, you're going to see something in an email, something on a Facebook page, something on whatever your chosen social media platform is, Instagram, TikTok, whatever you do. There's going to be something there that's going to invade your space in your mind and take it over. It will create your space in your mind for what you want to do. Set your intention. Once you're used to having that, I'm not going to look at my phone first thing in the morning, and I'm going to use that space to just think about myself. You then, in that space, you're putting in how you want your day to be, and just put some thought into how you want your day to be, even if it's just a couple of minutes.
Sounds powerful, Rich. Sounds powerful. So we are approaching to the end of this interview, and what question you think I should have asked you, but I didn't?
What question? That's a question I've asked some of my life coaching people. I would say you asked me, why do I do it?
Why do you do it, Rich?
For me, there's an opportunity in this work. For me, it's a passion to genuinely give some very, very simple things, procedures, whether I work with people for a long time or a short time, that genuinely can change people's lives in such a small way that I think we get out. And this works for me too. I'm still on my journey. We get so much into our head that things can't change unless it's a massive change. Like we need to throw everything up in the air in order to make a change. And that just isn't the way. I do this work to get out there and say just small changes lead to big changes down the road. And for me, whenever I see that I've been working with somebody and they come back to me, you will know this yourself. Yeah, of course we charge money. Yeah, of course we get paid for it. But when you get that message from somebody that says, my life is different, my life has changed, then there's nothing in the world that can replace that. And if I can be instrumental in that, just in a small way, then that's enough. And my body tells me, like it is now, that all my hairs and my arms are standing on end, that tells me that I'm in the right space.
That's really, that's amazing. That's exciting. That's a powerful self-vision. I really liked it. Rich, thank you so much for sharing from your experience, your knowledge, the way that you see life. I really appreciate it, and I'm sure many people will benefit from it. Thank you very much.
Good. I'm glad that we did this, and I'm glad to be able to share.